am not an actress. I cannot pretend to be something that I'm not because I am useless at it. So why then have I tried to be doctors, confused patients, obnoxious teenagers, and useless nurses? No, I can do that one quite well, and I'm not sure what that says about me. It's all in the name of education. It's kind of my job, not to be a useless actress, but to try and create learning experiences for people. Almost everyone wants to learn. It's part of why we do our jobs. It's part of why we're in our professions. I don't want to do a good job. I want to be excellent. And I'm guessing you do too. That's why you're here, because we want to be excellent. So I'm going to share some of my experiences with you. I'm going to tell you my part in an award-winning simulation team. I'm going to tell you some really simple things that I want you to try in your own areas. And basically, I just want you to know that to train together doesn't have to cost a fortune, you don't need fancy equipment. You just need a bit of time, effort, and commitment, because Armageddon is here, and there is no such thing as a quiet shift anymore. Perhaps maybe for a royal wedding or a World Cup final, so you will pay when they're finished. So what are my secrets? Well, ask yourself this for a minute. Do you want to work in a team that feels valued? Do you want to work in a team where people work for each other together, not against each other? Do you want to work in a department where education is championed 24 hours a day, no matter what? Listen on. About 10 years ago, I started working at King's College Hospital in London. It's a very big hospital, lots of big fish, but what they've got really good there, I think then, and they probably still have now, is this culture for learning and an investment in education. One of the things that they did was morning teaching. Now they had a rolling programme. Every Friday morning they would have guest speakers come in and tell us about something we needed to know for ED. Part of that though was peer-to-peer teaching. You've got 20 minutes of a captive audience. The benefit of working in a big department is you can just nick one person from each area and then you've got at least 4 or 5 people that are engaged for a good 20 minutes. In reality that turns into half an hour. Never tell me it's half an hour though, because then it turns into 40 minutes. So while I was at King's as a senior staff nurse, I started teaching my friends about ECGs. Now I loved ECGs and I wanted everyone else to love them too. Started off with just basic stuff, rhythm recognition, but by the end of it I think I had 4 modules that I used to rotate and teach as many people as I could. At about the same time I was doing my degree and one of the modules I chose was ECG interpretation. So what I needed was lots of practice, lots of unusual ECGs that I never would have found on my own. So I started asking my friends that I was teaching to keep them for me. Something quite special happened. Without me asking, my friend Giles made me this box that we used to keep in recess, and he told everyone who would listen to him to save any interesting ECGs, and I literally had hundreds of them by the end of it. People would scribble out the patient name and then write a little bit of history on the back. And some of those stories and ECGs, I still use them now when I do teaching. There was something else as well, and I'm pretty sure that this was excellent. It was the ECG of the week. Very simple concept, stick an ECG on the wall, bit of patient history, and then ask a couple of questions. People loved it. They got really engaged in it. They would debate with me the technicalities of what the ECG was supposed to be showing and argue about what the right treatment and where we should be looking after the patients. And that was doctors and nurses. Why the complaint then? Well, I stuck it on the toilet wall. And my friend Ludo complained that he couldn't even take a dump in peace. I do think that was excellent, because I've been to the loo here and they have learning on the loo on the wall, so I'm pretty sure this is okay. Fast forward to now, I work in Northampton ED. I still call morning teaching, but in reality it can happen at any time of day or night. The majority of it is peer-to-peer teaching. They tell me what they want to teach. I ask them to write it up, and then either I check it, or if I don't understand it, I get one of my consultants to check it, and then we put it on the internet. Then it's available for them to download whenever they need. I think this is really important because it lets people share what they're really passionate about, and we all know that it's better to hear something from someone who cares about it. The only real rule that I have for them is that they need to email me a list of names and the dates that they train, because it's really important to keep good databases of this kind of stuff. This is how you get an outstanding from the CQC. Back in London, when I was a staff nurse, I was sent on the simulation day. Now, I think I probably had about a 15-20-minute conversation about it with the person sending me on it, but I can only remember 3 things. I was going to be filmed in a room with a glass mirror while loads of people watched me on a massive telly. I'd never heard of Sim before, and that sounded really, really scary to me. But actually, I made myself go, and I sat in this room with doctors and nurses that I hadn't met before, and we shared something that day, and it really, truly inspired me. I realised that that was something special, and that that was worth doing again and again. At the end of the day, the doctor who was facilitating, I think her name was Libby from Guy's, she said to us as a group, "You're all welcome. If you want to get involved, just drop us an email and you can be involved." So I did, and I started going and being the nurse plant in the room for them. To begin with, I kept getting told off in my earpiece for being too helpful. I couldn't help it, you get really pulled into it. With time though, I got better and I got a bit more aloof and was able to stand back a bit more and let the guys have their own experience. Since I went on this debriefing course at Barts, and it was 3 days, and it was really, really tough when I did it, but it's probably one of my favourite courses I've ever done. The skills that I've learned to debrief I use in my day-to-day life, at work and at home. When I got to Northampton, we had a really good relationship with the SIM team. The problem was, we all trained in silos. The veggies trained on their own, the house officers trained on their own, and the nurses and HCAs trained on their own. And it was madness, because we were all doing the same SIMs, but independent of each other. And when I look back and think about me pretending to be a doctor or whatever, I cringe. It must have been awful. And really distracting too. People get freaked out if I go into the sim suite in a white tunic instead of my usual navy, so I just try now to stick to myself, and it works best. There was 2 solutions to this. One was slightly complicated and the other's really simple. And I appreciate that not everyone will be in a position to do a complicated solution, but it was quite easy. I got the consultants, the sim team and the nursing team together and said, "Why don't we all train on the same day?" And we did. So we planned our calendar for the next year and just made sure that all the days matched up. And we've done that now for a couple of years. And our days are growing from strength to strength. We always have medical faculty, we always have nursing faculty, and the same with candidates. We're in a position now where we invite other teams to train with us. So we have PEDS, mental health, we've had security, pharmacists join us. And through the debriefs, I've made these really good connections with people, and I understand their decisions better. I think a really good example for me is mental health. So quite often I've gone to a mental health nurse, told them about someone that I've been really worried about, and they've made what outwardly seemed like a really quick, "No, they're fine." And I haven't understood that, and I thought maybe they didn't care, genuinely. But actually, through the power of debrief, I've started to understand that they've actually made a really complicated risk assessment. They know these patients really well, so they don't need to go and look stuff up because they've met them before, and what they're saying is based on decision making and not just a snap judgment. The simple solution is just point of care sim. Very, very easy. You don't actually even need a mannequin to do this. We have literally simmed in the only empty room in the whole department, and that was a trauma bay. We've all had crowded EDs. This doesn't seem to be going away. But I think the fact that we've done that is testament to the culture that we're trying to create, which is learning is important, and we will sim for the few, with the mindset of little and often rather than cancelling because we can only do it for 2 people. I think that makes people feel valued and engaged, and it makes them think that despite everything, they're just as important as a crowded department. Don't get me wrong, we have cancelled sims sometimes when there isn't even a nook or a cranny to do it in, or when it is crowded in the morning, it turns our usual quiet time into this frenzy of activity. So for us, that means all hands on decks. People will come out and help, and that is what's freed us up to do this kind of extracurricular stuff. What you can see on the screen here, this was a point of care sim in our urgent care ward. So Vicky, who's on the floor, is our sim manager, and she's run around like a madman outside the ward for 5 minutes, getting really sweaty, really breathless. Quite frankly, she looked quite ill. And then she sprinted past the nurse's station and plonked herself on the floor in the bathroom. What you can't see is Gemma, because she's in the shower with a video camera. She calls the emergency buzzer. People come running in. Now, some of them recognise Vicky and some of them don't, but every single person who walks into that bathroom is told, this is a simulation. However, do what you would normally do, use your normal equipment, bleep the people you need to bleep. We've got buy-in here on the trust level. And they do. To their credit, they get completely stuck in. This is really special. You have people learning with their peers in their own environments, using their own equipment. You literally cannot teach this in a classroom. This is excellence. You do need to be a little bit careful. Vicky's nearly been cannulated. And I think she's had her blood sugar taken. But things can quickly escalate out of your control, so keep a really tight rein on the narrative and make sure you control that. I remember once doing a sim in the sim suite, and things quickly escalated, and the candidate stood there describing to us how they'd opened the chest and the suture in the heart. But it was only supposed to be a simple pneumothorax. For the nurses in the room, you're probably familiar with the term safety huddle. So this is something we do fairly regularly in our department. Basically, you just get everybody together and give them an update. So in theory, anyone can do this. We have anywhere between 5 and 15 people. We simply just put a tannoy out, all staff to the nurses station. And we have kind of a set update, maybe a trust department update. At the moment, we're having a really big push on the time to clinician 1 hour target. So we're telling everyone about that, so it's not a surprise when we've suddenly started nagging them about an hour and a half before normal. What my friend Claire realised is that there was real limitations to morning teaching. Although we don't just do it in the morning, it is kind of reliant on the person who's really passionate about it to deliver it. So Claire came up with this idea that she called Hot Topics. So a hot topic is a one-page ED guide, if you like, to how to manage a particular presentation. Now they range from the really common sepsis to the really quite rare Middle Eastern respiratory syndrome. What confirmed to me that these were a good thing was I came in one morning after we'd had a case of query MERS, and I found the MERS hot topic printed out and in the patient's notes. Because it's really hard to remember how to do all that infection control stuff and where we keep the special kit and where the policies are and what they're called. Because it's not called the MERS policy. I think probably the easiest way to show you guys how this works is for you to do one together. So if you haven't found it already, in the middle of your table, possibly face down, this should be the flu hot topic. So somebody pick it up. You've now become the quiz master. So the quiz master, your job is to ask the question, and everyone else just answers. And the majority of the time, the team knows the answer, so that's fine. If there's anything they missed out, just tell them. But what you must never do is just read it out to people, because no one wants that. So you've got a couple of minutes now, learn about flu, excuse some of our local terminology, but I think you'll get the gist of what it's all about. Go for it. So, my final nugget of excellence for you is mandatory training. I know, who knew? But surprisingly, people have really bought into this, and actually it's gone from strength to strength. So, when you hear corporate speak for mandatory training, what they say is that everybody is responsible for their own learning and they need to go off and do that. What that means in reality is some poor middle manager somewhere is getting it in the neck for what you guys aren't doing. So I did, to begin with, what everyone else does, probably, which was nag a bit, print out a few booklets, nag a bit more, a bit sporadic booking on update days, which don't actually cover everything you need. And to no surprise really, that didn't work. Back at King's, I was introduced to this thing called team nursing, and they'd allocated all the nurses, there were about 100 or so of them, into teams. Now I think that was for mentoring and appraisal rather than anything else, but I thought about it one day and I thought, I think I should hijack that. And I allocated all the teams for the year onto mandatory training days. And then I begged, bribed, coerced, promised to deliver the teaching with their materials for the Trust speakers to come and do a day for us. And what the Trust delivered in about 3.5 different days, I managed to condense to a day and a half. So each team gets 2 days a year, and within that they get half a day to do whatever they want with it educationally. And people have really, truly embraced this, and I think part of what they like is they just turn up if they voted for it. I keep track of who goes and who doesn't, so I book them on to the next ones. But it's been way better than what we did have. The first year is a little bit of pain because some people have to do stuff twice, so once you prep them and engage them with that, it's kind of okay. What is the best bit of the day though? It's when we all go to the pub afterwards and have some more team building. Feedback has been really good. I get nagged a lot less. I don't nag at all. And Northampton fully embraced this concept too. It was a lot harder for me to do in Northampton because I hadn't built up the connections that I had done in all my years at King's. So it was a much more difficult thing. And then one day I heard that the urgent care guys had set up a mandatory training day, so I hijacked that. It's quite hard because I have to book a massive room, and if any of you know anything about booking rooms, that's really quite difficult. But I book a massive room, and there's about 30 of us, and we just do it all together. The connections I built through that day, I really didn't expect. We put almost all of our patient transfers go through the urgent care wards, and although I knew faces, I didn't actually know any of those guys very well at all. But what's happened now, because I'm training with them, training them and training with them, things have started to connect. I'm guessing that everybody in this room has had to do a patient transfer. So you understand what it's like when you go to another ward, unit or hospital to get there and you'll recognise this look. This is the look of someone who's really busy, juggling 100 things, and you're about to bring them some new work. I'm not having a go, and I know that I've probably done this look to paramedics. So for the paramedics in the room, I am honestly sorry. It's not personal. But they're busy guys, and without that connection, there was no incentive to do anything other than the cursory, oh, you're in bed 2-4, which means nothing to me, and they'll give me a name of somebody who I've never met before that I need to hand over to. Now, when I go to urgent care, I get a smile, and people will actually show me to the bay. They'll find a pat slide for me. They'll either find the person I'm supposed to hand over to, or they will take a handover for them. So it's huge. And it works both ways as well, because now if I hear they're having a hard time, I'll pop upstairs and just say hi. Anything I can do, I can spare 20 minutes. I think this form of excellence is making friends. Never underestimate the power of friendship. no matter how tenuous the title to the actual relationship. It's that willingness to go above and beyond for somebody. For the most part, my friendships I've made are professional. We've bonded over ECGs or SIMs or, heaven forbid, a tricky question in the information governance workbook. But I've formed a common ground and understanding with people. And sometimes that's meant that I've benefited because I got turned over quickly. Sometimes it means that other people benefit because they feel valued and important. And sometimes everybody benefits because knowledge and the application of it is excellence. And we all just want to be excellent. Excellent! Thank you.